Hello, hi, this is Paul Vane, and today I'm talking about something very technical topic, is how to remove your IP from Gmail blacklist. I have the coaching student, they are actually having the issue regarding to the Interspire ARP mail with server being blacklisted, some of them even doing the warm-up process. And this article is try to be as simple as possible, but there are still some detail I need to explain a little bit. And this article is written by Jeff Huckaby from the Rackaid. I found it useful, and so I practiced the process to remove Gmail. I'm doing that myself, and well, I just be honest too. If it doesn't work, then I will actually ask for third-party service. So, according to the article, first one is understand the Gmail blacklist criteria, sending the large volume of emails, unchanged email volume, sending email to a spam trap address, sending email to unknown users, including of your server's IP on the public blacklist, email users marked to messages string, using a new IP address to send mail and incorrect DNS setting. Lots of people actually have fallen into the problem with new IP address and also send email to spam trap address. Well, if you get your email from double hopping, you don't have this problem. Even from single hopping, I rarely see this problem, only because you actually have software grab the IP address from the the email from the website, or sometimes you just do this exchange from other marketer or purchase them. You sometimes get spam trap, and spam trap is normally an old email address. Normally, not always, but my experience is I got a spam trap, and I have to. How do I know? It's because to send the score. There are some email MX tool. They will show that your IP is being blacklisted, and you go to a send the score. They will show you that you've been sending to a spam trap. And if you have that signal, the best way you do is just pay for claim service, and they will identify the spam trap email and remove them for you. So if you have spam trap, even just one in your entire list, you just have to get your entire list to go to the listing services. And there is some software like traphunter.com, and they are also used for software. You can use that, and that's all pretty much the reason you are facing them. If you actually have a good warm-up process, you shouldn't have a problem with large volume email. But if you actually suddenly try to send if you finish warm-up, you always send maybe 5,000. Suddenly you send 200,000 emails, then that will be causing the problem. Even though your email contains no spam trap and your your IP address is not new because you do the warm-up. Probably your IP address is very senior, for a few years, but sometimes it happens. Or you send a spam trap in a large volume of email. Okay, so if your server doing any of those things, then appear to be the sending spam. And the Google also using signal from public blacklist like spam holes and BuzzFeed. So this is something you can actually look up from this URL you can see here, or using the MX tool. Either way is fine. Second, best email blacklist investigation process is check email log for the 500 server, 500 errors. If you don't know where this email logs, make sure that you ask the people actually set up your self-host server. Normally you get the person actually set that for you from the Pfizer. It costs about $50 to $100, depends on what kind of setting, how many IP addresses, could be more. So you should have an email that send you the abuse at the whatever your domain name, and you can see those different errors. Check email log for block to other AESP and public blacklist, like I mentioned before. Using MX tool, MXTOOLS, is also a good choice. Use access SMTP authentication issue if you're using ARP using SMTP local port 25. The Interspire uses SMTP. Check that. And if you have PHP script, you can PHP script to log server. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably don't have PHP script, because some of them they actually set up that server, and look at your IP in your favorite blacklist tool I just mentioned. Check your server sending reputation, send a score, I mentioned that. Check your user bulk forward email to gmail.com related domain. Most of sell hosts don't have this user because you don't have a customer actually using your host. You pretty much send by yourself. Check for any newsletter or news group that originating from the server. If you send the email, if you solo vendor send, especially check your email you send and make sure the title is okay. Don't spam word in the title, and make sure that you don't have just image only, and make sure that you don't have too much thing. We're gonna talk about it a bit in the below. Identify any bulk mailing campaign that maybe on a server. Talk about that. Make sure check your title. Make sure title have no weird character or something and so on. Spam keyword. Provide DNS related. Make sure your server set up correctly. If you have a professional people set up, that shouldn't be the problem. If you set up yourself, just double check with that. Look at the historical log and determine if the email volume to email has increased. You just check your don't actually sending like a crazy spike. I have a good example. I'm trying to show it, but I sent 5,000. Next day I sent 175. But my server IP is all warm up. It's actually a seasonal server. I still get spam, but they get blocked by Gmail. So just careful with that. If you need to send something, just incrementally. I know that's kind of hard, but you can try to do a setting in the server to send like how many email per hour, that type of things. The process can be time consuming. Okay, get into a server email history, check 550 and 421. Those are error indicating you sending Gmail think you sending spam. The IP listing public, but we talk about that. Change the Gmail practice in your sender score. Then go to once it's fixed underlying issue, monitor the server, email volume. In most of the case, we know there's actually have submit the request to the Gmail, and we talk about SMTP error. SMTP error actually is not your email from email application by because your email host should have a two-part. Once your email application we talked about just now before, just now, and we talk about second part is SMTP error. Interspire and using the Interspire front end and also Power MPA with SMTP serving error in the back end. And if you are in Blacklist, you will get this title 550 error, and in your email, whatever your email you send the feedback to whatever you will send this return message from Gmail or for 12, and those are indicating that it's in your email. So if you see those errors, you are Blacklist, and you can work on getting off the list. And Gmail SMTP code to protect if spam or your IP address has been temporarily blocked with the block email guideline. The basic, that's what they mean. The error occurs if the sender account is available or not registered within Google Apps to protect your. That's all their different mean. You can check all the lists of all the entire error messages from Google and Gmail, and Gmail tell you why they don't like your email, why they block your email, they block your IP. They are all the reason why you can see in the entire this block. So if you are stopped the spamming coming from your server and Gmail is still not block your IP, you might have to use this form. Click the link and submit the form. The first you have to stop maybe sending email and then contact the Gmail. If you not start sending email, start sending email the right way. Make sure you don't get those error message, and then contact Gmail and to unlist you. Most of the time you don't have to contact, you should be unlisted, but sometimes you have to. So you can just find the server has compromise for application that used to send spam email. We have to remove the application from the server, since remove the application we no longer see unauthorized email being sent to. So this is type of word, type of message you want to send in the form, and because they first will ask you what's the reason you ask for remove, just using this reason. And then the header, make sure that header are complete in your text format. You only need to include one sample of your header, and if you don't know your header, just ask whoever creating your self-host server and to help you prepare this. I would find the example that is pluralistic, such as message going directly from your server to Gmail, and the message was replayed to a third party. The headers can be obscure, so use the text sent to in the form, and then server log, copy a server log. The server logs could be like this MX lookup, not required. This is key step to show that your server DNS is working, and telnet test, and copy that. Again, if you don't know how to do that, ask your people actually create a self-serve for you. If you do the server yourself, just go to your CentOS if you are using Interspire, telnet, and Google's Gmail IP, and then provide that result to the phone, and pin test. Okay, just go there and pin the Gmail server, and then copy paste the result to this form, and then that should be it. So submit the form. So after submit the form, basically that should be take about 3 to 5 days. Another tool is called Gmail Postmaster. You can use the thing, and you can actually set in to monitor your server IP and domain reputation, and know why they blocked you. So that should be fine. But sometimes you ask Gmail to fix the problem, and problems come again. So in that case, you need to make sure you don't get the spam complaint. You can actually put the title, say, okay, you submit to you up into my page, and if you found this is spam, so you provide a spam link for yourself instead of have user to click the spam link. And sometimes you send too often, try to minimize. If you send 8-10 email per day, try to minimize to maybe, if you have this problem try to minimize to 4, 3. If still having problems, start to send 2. Okay, until you don't have this repeat, because sometimes you get out of the block, and a month later you be in the block again. That's indicating that you have some other issue that probably is being just practice issues, not really just simply about your self-host, and it's something to do with other than that. Email sending frequency, the maybe title, your subject line, need to be fixed. Okay, so now to the act. If you don't know what's already I think it's time I tell you this. You really don't need to go to a regular work anymore. Okay, why? Because I believe there is a better solution for your situation. The solution is the people like you and me who search opportunity, and this is about it, right? Just click the link and live hack. Okay, if you just don't have time to buy your frozen pack, or you cannot find it, you can actually temporarily using your sponge and saturate with water and put into the filter, put into the plastic. It become ice pack, and that will drain over when you melt. Actually regular ice base, sometimes when you drape it, you still melt, but this is actually sometimes as good or even better. Thank you for watching this video, and you have a very blessed day. Thank you. Bye bye.